Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. It is a War Game Wednesday, so today I am going to unbox and take a first look at a Gest of Robin Hood from GMT Games. This is designed by Frédéric Serval with artwork and graphic design provided by Chechu Nieto, Robert Altbauer, and Terry Leeds. This is the second in the Irregular Conflicts series and is for 2 players, ages 14 and up, plays around 45 to 90 minutes. It is available now and does carry an MSRP of $75. All that said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got a Gest of Robin Hood. I already took the shrink wrap off because I was pulling tons of glare, so this way you can see the box a little clearer than it had been. Before we dive in, do want to mention my friends over at GMT Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. It's important these days, you know that. All right, let's take a look at the back here. The year is 1192. Richard I, Lionheart, is held captive by Duke Leopold of Austria, interrupting his return from the Crusades. Meanwhile, the king's brother, Prince John, rules England as his regent, raising taxes and passing laws in favor of loyal members of the nobility and clergy. Sir Robin of Locksley, a young and courageous noble, has recently returned from the Third Crusade to see his family dispossessed of its wealth by the corrupt Sheriff of Nottingham. He decides to revolt against what he perceives as an illegitimate authority and takes to the forest where he finds unlikely allies, rogue yeomen, poachers, and other bandits. Perhaps this sounds familiar? This is not your childhood tale of Robin Hood. Inspired by the grit and guile depicted in the traditional folk tale, A Gest of Robin Hood is a board game that presents a complex figure, a social bandit leading an insurrection against the Sheriff of Nottingham. Here, Robin Hood isn't just an outlaw. He is a guerrilla fighter struggling for justice in a medieval England that is on the cusp of becoming a modern state. In this game, 2 players assume the asymmetric roles of Robin Hood and the Sheriff, leverage event cards and unique action menus in pursuit of competing visions for the future of Nottinghamshire, justice for the common folk, or order imposed from above. In A Gest of Robin Hood, history and strategy intertwine, inviting you to immerse yourself in a contest of wit and will. How will you shape the legacy of Robin Hood? Will you champion the oppressed as the legendary outlaw, or will you maintain the status quo as the nefarious sheriff? Very nice. I'm excited to take a look at this because it appears to be pretty unique. And of course, you can rock a game out in 45 to 90 minutes. So that's very nice too. So it looks like we've got a rule book, a learn to play book. Okay. And then a playbook. Very cool. And then we're going to get into our cards, mounted board, tokens, and so forth. So I'm going to move that out of the way. First thing we're going to take a peek at will be the rules of play. And it looks like we've got a grand total of about 16 pages of rules. So we're going to get our introduction. It says, stop! If this is your first time playing, you might want to start with a separate Learn to Play booklet, which will guide you through setup and teach you the game. Well, you know what? Why don't we do that then? There's Learn to Play. Looks like it's all of 14 pages, maybe 15 pages. So here we go. We've got our introduction. How to win. To win the game, you must ensure that the royal favor cylinder is on your side of the scoring track when King Richard returns. Justice for Robin Hood and order for the sheriff. Royal favor can be shifted towards justice or order in various ways. Goes through all of that there. We've got different board spaces. And it depicts 12th century Nottinghamshire. There are various different components, player mats, counters, wooden pieces, and dice. 2 decks of cards are used to play A Gest of Robin Hood. One card is drawn from the green-backed event deck each turn, while the brown-backed Traveler deck is used only when Robin Hood attempts a rob plot against a Traveler. So Traveler cards feature two options that the Robin Hood player may choose from when attempting to rob a Traveler. The top one is safer but less rewarding. The bottom one more rewarding but with negative consequences if the attempt fails. Nice. Looks like some pretty cool artwork too. We'll get into an example of play. So we actually get the example of play in the Learn to Play book. And then we also have a playbook, which I always love the GMT playbooks because, to be honest, that's what I read first before I start trying to learn the rules. So it's going to walk us through a number of turns here. Very nice. And then here is the board. So it gives us the example of play and what the board looks like at the end of that. Get a teaching guide. And then we have the poem, Robin Hood and Guy of Gisborne. I think that's what that is. Gisborne. So that is wrapping that up. Let's go back to the rules of play. And this will probably dive into a bit more detail now about each of these items. So it's talking about the forces. So we have shillings. So we have coinage. So we have parishes, which are submissive. And then we have others that are in revolt. We have carriages. Robbing carriages, of course. Talking about the fortune event cards, plots, deeds. When a player selects the plots and deeds option during their turn, they may additionally perform a deed after they have completed their chosen plot in all selected spaces. Some deeds have additional shilling costs, which must be paid before executing the deed. Each map space may only be targeted once by the same deed during one turn. But one space could be targeted by both a plot and a deed. So let's see, what are the plots here? So Robin Hood plots are recruit, sneak, and rob. The sheriff plots are hire, patrol, capture. And then Robin Hood's deeds are turncoat, donate, swashbuckle, and inspire. While the sheriff's deeds are ride, confiscate, and it looks like disperse. So getting into our event cards and our traveler cards. Royal inspection. We have a mischief phase, a governance phase, redeployment phase. And then we have victory. Once again, in order to win, your faction must have the royal support, royal favor cylinder on your side when King Richard returns. Excellent. Those are the counters there. And then once again, we have the game board. So then lastly, we've got the playbook. So I'm sure we're going to get into some details about the design theory. So you have background articles, social bandits and stationary bandits, reading the ballad. So there is a ballad spread with events. That's kind of wild. Card tips and background. So we're going to get what each of our event cards represent. I'll guess we'll get that with the traveler cards too. Yep, right there. Here's our designer notes. And of course, if you're not overly familiar with the Irregular Conflicts series, it is a bit of an offshoot from the coin series. They tend to be, well, we've only got two now with this, but they play two players and they also play relatively quickly. Here's our board. We'll take a look at the board last. So we have some screens here. So this looks like this is Robin Hood's screen, possibly. Or they might be identical. I guess they are identical. So it's giving us our sequence of play. Draw an event card, move carriages. First eligible player chooses a single plot, event, or plots and deeds. Second eligible player chooses from the remaining options. And then you set the leftmost cylinder to first eligible and rightmost to second eligible. This gives us a breakdown of that. So we also have a player mat. So we've got setup and opening strategies. These are a little bit different. And this would be Robin Hood here. Give me a closer look at this. So here we've got plots and deeds. And there's the setup and opening strategy. And then, of course, we get that for the sheriff. And then their plots and deeds. All right. And we have one punch board for our tokens, dual-sided. So we've got those. I'll give you a closer look at these screens. So there's our sequence of play. Then we have Order and Justice, Rob Summary, Travelers, and our Royal Inspection Round. We've got all of that. Then we've got some pawns, some cylinders, some discs. We also have little almost like pie pieces here. And some of these do have icons on them. So as you can see here, I have either silver or gold. Got all those. Then it looks like we've got some custom dice. This might be averaging dice. We have 0, +2, -1. So we have the green and the white. So I would take a guess that's the sheriff's die, and then that's the Robin Hood player's die. Got some baggies, and then we've got our cards, and our cards just happen to be tarot sized. So pretty cool. Very nice. Let's take a look at these cards here. Cardstock is solid. They do not have a linen finish, just so you know. So these are the events. Just take a peek at some of these. So we have the Day of Market, Guy of Gisborne, Yeoman Revolt, Great Escape, Daring Rescue, place Robin Hood and all merry men from prison adjacent to Nottingham, revealed. Heavy Rain, Robin's Horn, an epic robbery. These are really cool. Corruption. Sheriff's authority crumbles. Pay 1 shilling to replace 1 henchman with a merry man. Tale of Two Lovers. King Richard's Return. So I would take a guess we seed this to the bottom of the deck. I'm sure we shuffle this all up, and then we will see the Return of the King at some point within the last few cards, I would take a guess. And then we've got our Travelers, a rich merchant, a noble knight. So remember, we've got a couple of options here. This is the safer but less rewarding option. And then this is the more dangerous but far more rewarding option down at the bottom. The Potter, Bishop of Hereford. And there's Guy again. All right. Very nice. So we've got the 2 decks of cards. Here's our box with our insert as well. So we've got our cards. We've got our pawns and discs and so forth. We've got the mats. Here we've got our screens. Whoops, forgot to throw the dice on in there. There we go. Let's take a look at the board. This looks really nice. And it's fairly small, so this is not going to take up tons of space at your game table. So here we have the different areas. There's our prison. Here we've got the track, justice, and order. So this is where the cylinder is going to move. So to determine victory. Use carriages, royal inspection. So we've got unrest, mischief, governance, redeployment, and reset. Then towards the bottom here, we have our initiative. So first eligible, second eligible, single plot event, plot and deeds. And it looks like that's how much it costs to put these into play as far as the shillings go. Very nice. Very cool. I like the graphic design of this. It's got a cool look to it. All right, so let's put this back into the box here. Then we've got our playbook, our rules of play, and our learn to play booklet. And that is what we find when we take everything from a Gest of Robin Hood outside the box. I am actually getting together with my best friend, Elliot Miller, this coming weekend, and we are going to play a Gest of Robin Hood. So I will have a review in the not too distant future of a Gest of Robin Hood. So stay tuned for that. All right, very cool. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm very, very intrigued. That is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when I happen to share videos such as this unboxing and first look, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.